Hi, folks. Happy holiday weekend, at least if you're in America. We are having our 4th of July weekend this weekend. Little half and half, a little bit of twisting we were thinking today, doing a little rotation work. We have done a couple classes on obliques. Rotation is really focused on obliques. Last week we did some free up the neck and upper back, so maybe we put those two things together. It's almost like we had a plan, but don't assume we did. That would be expecting a lot. So I was thinking we'll just start straight down on the mat with some Pilates stuff and some stuff actually that is a little Feldenkrais too, doing some cross lateral movement um, and then see where that takes us. So within that, as we get to that, we're going to look about look at getting the ribs to draw together, that feeling of the ribs drawing together, and relate that to letting the space between the shoulder blades open. So that as I close the ribs in the front, that allows me to open the shoulder blades in the back and breathe into the back ribs. So we're going to get onto your back and work with that idea a little first. So knees bent. We have a crazy cat running around that is lightly distracting me, but he's attacking a ball. It's very important. I'm sure you know that golf balls are a big danger out here in Blue Mounds. So Andy is protecting us from golf balls and that danger. So knees bent, feet flat. And settle a little bit into the mat. Feel how the breath moves through your rib cage as you start. Are you more likely to breathe into your chest? Or does your chest stay really stiff and you breathe into your belly? Do you get a pretty well-rounded movement? Maybe that's the case. Through the back or through the sides, whatever it is, just do a little inventory of how your rib cage moves on inhale and exhale, what you notice. And then make a choice, however you want to direct it, that you think would be useful and that would make your breath a little more even in your rib cage. Maybe the back ribs, maybe in between the shoulder blades, maybe the side ribs or the chest. Make some direction with your breath that you think would even it out. And often when we start to do this, we try to put a really big movement in the tight area, which if you think about that for just a moment, it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? If it's a tight area, it can probably only move a little. It's the loose areas that are big. So think of a small to medium-sized breath moving into those tighter spots. And then we'll take your arms up to the ceiling. And as your arms come up to the ceiling, reach one arm and feel how your shoulder blade gets a little wider. If you reach your arm up slightly, and then place it on the mat, and then reach the other arm, feel how the shoulder blade lifts and widens your back, and then settle it into the mat again. And don't settle it too far down or it'll just pinch that space in between your blades, right? So see if you can feel the part of your spine in between your shoulder blades on the mat. And you've got room for some breath into that space. Now, if you're someone who has a very round rib cage, maybe you have a little too much roundness in your rib cage through the back of your ribs, then maybe you think of the breath moving not to the spine, not in between the shoulder blades, but the breath moving a little wider in the back of the ribs. Maybe it's a little more towards your armpits, if that feels better to you. For me, breathing in between the shoulder blades feels more balanced. And then let's see if we can keep that feeling and take your hands behind your head. And the elbows pretty lifted up towards the ceiling. So I'm a tiny bit wider than my shoulders with my elbows, but I'm really not trying to be wide. I'm not quite in line with my shoulders, just a little bit wider than that. That lets my upper back stay really wide there. So we've got wide shoulder blades, we've got breath through the back ribs. Now let's turn the lower ribs on the exhale, drawing the ribs together in the front. And all that is reminding me of what we did last week. My neck is starting to relax a little more. My head feels a little heavier. Now I'm going to keep my right hand just like it is, but I'm going to take my left hand away and put it on the mat. Now I'm going to start to come up and think of my right elbow moving towards my right knee, and then back down. So my body isn't rotating yet. I'm just going straight up and down, right elbow to right knee. But still, because I have one hand behind my head, I'm feeling it just a little more on the right oblique side. So it's a different function of the obliques, the lateral stability, the one-sided stability. Another function is rotation. And we'll get to that in a minute. Now I'm going to take my left hand, find both hands behind the head again, find that elbow position, not quite in line with the shoulder, really wide shoulder blade. Take the right hand away. How's your breath moving? Exhale engages the lower ribs a little more. Nice loose neck, heavy head. Coming up, left elbow moves towards the left knee. And coming back down. Exhale to come up. Inhale to come down. And two more. And then both arms down for a moment. Take a couple breaths. How's your upper back feel? Where are your shoulder blades? How does the breath move through the center back ribs or side back ribs, more towards the armpits? I'm going to take the right hand behind your head again, same elbow position. And then we're going to add in same knee as elbow. We're still on that same sided movement. Knee fold up. and then back down. We're going to keep that same side the whole time. Exhale, right elbow, right knee. Notice they're not very close together. That's not really the goal. I'm leaving the pelvis in place. I'm really just trying to feel that stability piece through the one side, the right oblique side, without yanking on my head and neck or pulling my shoulder out of place. Two more. Now we're going to stay with this arm position and just switch the legs. My upper body isn't going to change at all. I know I said we were going to rotate, and you're probably just like, when are we going to go right elbow to left knee? But we're still not there. We're just going to do cross lateral. So my left leg comes up, but my right elbow goes towards my right knee still. I'm not twisting. I'm just feeling the opposite side. And even without rotating, it's getting the rotation coordination set up, what we call cross lateral movement. In some ways, that's kind of a challenge to not rotate or twist your pelvis. One more. And then left hand behind your head and right arm down. Find your elbow position, open the shoulder blade. Take a moment with the breath again. And we start same elbow as knee, left elbow, left knee. Not super close together. Remember your head with the towel last week with the strap, how you kept it really heavy. It stays really heavy in your hand. Two more. And then we go right into the opposite leg. One left external oblique, right internal oblique. Now you don't have to think about turning those on, but that's just sort of information of how that cross lateral pattern would work. And once more. And then take everything down, both arms down. How's your upper back feel? How's your pelvis feel? How do your hips feel? How is your breath moving through your rib cage? And has it changed since that first check-in we did? And then as you're ready, however you like, roll yourself up to sitting. Okay, so when we start thinking about rotation, and we talk about the abdominal obliques all the time, and then we shorthand obliques. Sometimes I just say obliques, and I assume you know I'm talking about your abdominal obliques. But there are two sets, right, left, two right, left sets. So there's external and internal, and then we typically talk about the right side and the left side within those. So we have kind of those four pairings of what can go on. And when we're doing rotation and we're really focused on obliques, and that aspect of rotation. Then we're using an internal oblique on one side and an external oblique on the other side. And they are called obliques because they run on a diagonal. Their fibers run on a diagonal. They're set on a diagonal there. So if I'm marrying you, I have a lot of things going through my head now. If I'm marrying you, this would be my left side, right? This would be my right side. You might even do this with me if you are a kinesthetic learner. Um, and my left internal would a little bit more fan up, and then my right slides down. And when those two things come together, right, can you imagine what would happen is you would rotate to the right, right? So towards that internal. So I have the internal on one side, the external on the other, and I get that drawing together. Now, sometimes I think of that as my right rib going towards my left pelvis, or my left rib going towards my right pelvis in that mirror idea. And it's not a collapsing down, right? But it's sort of that directionality. It's good stuff, right, Andy? He gets it. He really does. And he wants to cover up my demonstration. This is what a cat does. So then the other side, if we just kind of try out that other side, we'd have Andy's tail going towards Andy's head. Now I shifted. So left rib, right, towards right. We have this version. I'm just going to stop saying right and left because I'm not getting the mirror right. So then letting that happen and release it, right? The rib coming around towards the pelvis and those diagonal fibers moving towards each other. Yeah? Okay, so we're going to take that into a little more work. So we're going to start with the knees bent and the feet a little flexed, curling the hips under, so you're back behind the sits bones, and back, hands on the backs of the legs here. So I'm now in a round spine position. Ribs are drawing together, belly's drawing in, and yeah, probably that openness through the upper back, through the shoulder blades, right? Not crunching your chest, but just nice open breath through the back. And then let's walk down a little bit until you feel some good effort in your abdominals, some effort in your arms, kind of medium effort in your arms, and hopefully light to no effort in the fronts of your thighs. That's what we're going for. That about that far back, an easy neck. Now we're going to do that same thing. We're going to think left rib to right pelvis. Open the right arm, and then come back together. And then right rib to left pelvis. I'm holding with my right hand to help. Open the left arm as you rotate and back together. And try it a couple times. Exhale to rotate. Let your other arm hold you. And let your abdominals hold you. Try to turn your thighs, your quads off. And then bring yourself back up to sitting and relax. Now I'm going to change my view so you can see a little better. When you rotate, if you look at my shoulder blades, right, they'd be sort of open through the back. Have my arms out in front of me. And it's really, really common that the rotation can start from your shoulder blade and pinch off at your shoulder blade. So I might really focus on the arm and feel like, oh, I'm twisting so much and I'm opening my chest, but I've really pinched off in my blade here. And my chest is pulled forward and I'm not super in my belly. I actually push out of my belly. I lose this rib connection here. So really different to think, I'm going to start from the obliques. I'm not even really going to do that much in the thoracic. We're going to let Scott work on that a little later. I'm just going to focus on this rotation piece. So the arm opens a little. I really start from the ribs. And I think about keeping my shoulder blade from pinching back in, right? It stays really open as I go. And then this other side, for sure, that shoulder blade as I twist can stay really open through the back too. So let's try that same thing again. I know you loved doing that exercise. It was very fun, right? Let's do it again. I say that because it was hard, I think. It's very hard. So you've got that nice open upper back, whether you're thinking of in between the shoulder blades being really open, or if you're thinking a little wider through the back ribs being open, if you already have good space between your shoulder blades. Ribs connect, belly draws in, thighs relax. And then we'll take the left arm out and open without pinching the shoulder blade, right rib to left pelvis. However far that turns you. It's not super far. And then right arm comes off, blade stays open, left rib to right pelvis. Getting that rotation of the rib cage. I'm not moving my pelvis to do it. It's really just the ribs moving around. And check in with your thighs. Deep low belly supporting you. Last one. And then coming back up and rest. Okay, so maybe starting to feel that a little bit. Let's see what happens when we go onto your stomach. Change things up a little. So lying on your belly, you can have legs slightly separated, about hip distance apart. Try not to take them super wide. Sometimes people need to go kind of wide just because their back is so tight, but go towards the narrower edge of your ability so that it feels really lined up with the obliques. So I think right in line with the hip joint is a good place to be, if that feels comfortable for you. And sometimes I think of my legs actually coming from my obliques, like starting up at my ribs and lowering back down. I'm pretty short-waisted, so my legs kind of do start at my ribs. But if you're long-waisted, then you just can have longer legs, right? Thinking of your legs starting at your ribs. And then really parallel in the legs, toes pointing down. I'm going to take both hands under your forehead. Now we've got this opportunity again to feel wide shoulder blades. So check out my elbows again. A lot of times what happens is you kind of set up, the elbows are sort of pulled in and back, the blades are pulled in and back. And maybe you can see too, like it sort of puts me in this position with my collarbones way up and my chin tucked. So if you think of the elbows being a little more forward and out, that tends to go with widening the shoulder blades and sinking the collarbones back down. And then I can get a longer position of the spine there instead of being kind of up here. Sometimes that happens over a few breaths. You'll sit there and you'll lie there and breathe and let everything relax, and you'll feel your elbows want to adjust. So that's fine too. Now we're going to take your right hand away. Actually, let's take your, no, I'm going to change all of those things. Take your right hand on top of your left hand, or whichever way lets you look at the screen. Let's do it that way. So turn and look at the screen, and then whichever way you're looking, that hand should be on top. So I'm going to have my right hand on top, and I'm turning my head to look to the right. I'm going to have my right hand on top, and I'm turning to look to the right. I feel like I should just say that again. Okay, you got it? Now, we're going to feel that long reach through the elbow of the top hand. And then let it lift a little off the floor. Your head lifts a little off the floor, and the opposite hand stays down. The underneath hand stays down. And then you come back. And so think of that elbow reaching out, just like you did as we started. Reach it out a little more. Let everything come off. Hands separate. The elbow is up, the head is up. And you come back down. And I'm trying to keep the shoulder blade wide as I do it. A little bit of feeling through the ribs. You might press down through the hand that's in the floor, or you might not. If you feel like pressing down makes your shoulder grip, then see if you can not press down. Both are kind of interesting. Now, if you want, you could reach the opposite leg with it. So I have my right hand and my left leg going. I'm not lifting my leg very high. If I do, I'm just going to go into back and I'm going to not stabilize my pelvis. So it's just a little lift up. It's like when you're swimming, you don't want to splash too much. You just get kind of right above the water with your leg. One more. And then relax everything. Turn your head to straight down. Put the other hand on top and take a couple breaths. Now, turn your head, look away from the screen. And whatever elbow you're looking at, that hand should be on top. We start just with that arm coming up. Arm and head lift up. And you're looking at the elbow that's lifting. Wide shoulder blades. Support from your belly. Pelvis doesn't tip. One more like this. And then adding the opposite leg if you want. Sometimes people find they can't even really get the head off the floor, but they just kind of work on reaching the elbow up and engaging things. That's fine too. Or maybe you just do the upper body, but not the lower. Or just the lower, not the upper. Make it work for you, however. And then turning back to center, other hand on top again. And slide your hands out, take them under your shoulders. Now let's see what it's like to feel the shoulder blades really wide. The ribs drawing together. Maybe you have some sensation through all the obliques right now. You keep that work as you press up. The chest can be open and the shoulder blades can be wide. And the ribs are connected, the belly's lifted, coming back down. 2 more times. And last one. And then coming to hands and knees. Tuck your toes under. Slide your hands back onto your feet. And we'll roll up. And pass off to Scott.
Right. So that was pretty darn cool. So we're going to continue some of that work in thinking in terms of the lower ribs connecting diagonally across. And we'll do it in standing. So starting off, feet about hip width apart. Let's take a few deep breaths. And just like you explored at the outset, gently guide the in-breath into the sticky places. Now, for most people, among the sticky places is the zone between the shoulder blades. And another sticky place is where the upper back meets the neck. Way up high in the thorax. Now, a lot of people will often comment, they'll go, oh, that's, that high up, that's just metaphor. Well, firstly, imagery is very powerful. But literally, your lungs go up above your collarbones. So at the junction of thorax and neck, there is lung tissue. And let's take a few more of these deeper breaths and see if you can feel the respiratory movement way up high in your thorax. And in that space between your shoulder blades. So now bring your right hand on your hip. Bring your left arm forward. Remember, a mirror image of you. Now with the next exhale, float that left arm up. Let's take a few breaths here. Now use the next out breath to connect left lower ribs into your belly. Keep that connection as you side bend to your right. Back up. Exhale, side bend right. Inhale up. One more. Arm down. Few breaths. Gently guiding the in-breath into your upper back. Up into the junction of thorax and neck. And left hand on your hip, right arm forward. Exhale, arm up. Use the next out breath to connect lower rib into your belly. Keep that connection. Exhale, side bend. Inhale up. Exhale, side bending from your upper back. And a little bit in your neck. And arm down. Step your feet wide apart. Turn your left foot in, then your right foot out. 5, bend, straightens. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Up and down like this, one-legged sumo. The next time knee in the bent position, let's pause there. Spine in the vertical. Then with the next exhale, move spine, torso from vertical to diagonal. And just like we did in standing, use this exhale right here to knit your ribs. That's a lot originating from the obliques. Then bring your left arm forward, sweep it through. And now generating the twist from neck and upper back. Using your obliques to keep your ribs knit. And then ride the next in-breath up and turn back to the front. Second side, turn your right foot in, left foot out, 5, bend, straighten. Next time knee bent, let's pause there for a bit. So remember that internal obliques, external obliques. You have 2 sets. You don't really need to know the physiology to feel it in your body. Exhale, feel what happens with your lower ribs with respect to your belly. Keep that connection as you inhale. So whether you identify them or not, your obliques are working now. Now with the next out breath, move from vertical to diagonal. Maintaining that dynamic connection of thorax to abdomen. Bring your right arm forward. Swing it through. Not turning from the hips, nor turning from your belly. From your upper back and neck. And then ride the next inhale up. Turn back to the front. And then step your feet together. So now let's make our way to the floor. Exhale, knit. Keep that connection. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Keep the knit. Inhale, stretch the crown of your head forward. And then step back. And let's take 3 breaths in head down dog. And then come on down to your knees. Onto the floor. And sitting cross-legged. Now, if in sitting cross-legs your knees are up by your ears, then you might want to sit up on something. Folded blanket, pillow, or sit in a chair. All right. So we talked a little bit this week and in prior weeks about keeping this connection of your lower ribs to your belly to help free your upper back. Exhale, connect, then trickle down twist involving neck and upper back. Turn to your right. We'll spend a few breaths here. So twists, rotation nation, are one of the most effective ways to mobilize the upper back. But the price of admission is to not rotate much of it all in the lower back. Then back in toward the middle. Exhale, connect, knit. Keep that knittage. Trickle down, twist to the other side. few more breaths here. Now remember, if you have osteopenia or osteoporosis, you can do this twist, just don't go very far. And back in toward the middle. So remember, with bone density, it's not that the movement could be harmful, it's just going to end range and banging bone against bone, that can be what is potentially harmful. So let's do the first side again. And those of you with osteopenia or osteoporosis, this might be the extent of your twist. And whether you twist a little bit or a lot, see if you can feel the twist originating in the upper part of your spine. Now, whether you've twisted a little or a lot, harness the power of mind and breath. Divert the inhales into upper back and up even a little bit higher into junction of thorax and neck. And then back in toward the middle. And then the second side. So might be a little twist. That's especially recommended if you're working with bone loss. Or it could be more. Whether the twist is a little or a lot, diverting your in-breath into the places where most people are pretty stiff and the motion is often restricted. And then back in toward the middle. All right, from seated back to hands and knees. What do you say about hands and knees, Andy? So sorry, Andy, I'm going to go from hands and knees to dog pose. Hopefully dog pose isn't too scary for you. Doesn't appear to be the case. And a couple more breaths here, right where your neck meets your upper back. Breathe right into that cervical thoracic junction. Let the breath help mobilize that often sticky region. All right, then with the next out breath, step your feet forward, head forward. With the inhale, fold. Now the beauty thing about hanging here is your upper back and junction of upper back and neck are automatically more open. See if you can maintain that openness as you roll up. All right. So now what we're going to do, we're going to combine side bending with rotation. Bring your right hand on your hip, left arm forward. So we'll take a few breaths here. You know what to do in your midsection. And in the upper part of your spine. Now with the next out breath, float that left arm up. And then as you side bend to the right, little rotation to look down. Come on back up. Arm down. Few breaths here. Same approach. If you have bone density you're working with, you can make the movement, just make a really tiny one. Left hand on your hip, right arm forward. Breathe into your upper back and junction of neck and upper back. Knit your ribs. Float your right arm up. Whether a small movement, big movement, almost imperceptible, visible from across the room. Side bend coupled with a twist. Inhale up, arms down. Big deep inhale. Combine the exhale with arms up to help more open the chest. Inhale, fold. Exhale, thoracic extension. Inhale, step back. Let's take 3 breaths here in head down dog, diverting that inhale. Well, you know where. 3 times. And then come on down. And back to seated. So remember last summer? Let's twist again just like we did last summer. So whether a little or a lot, twist to your right. And you know your body as well as anybody. You know where it's stiff or creaky, maybe even painful. See if you can twist from those places. And breathe into those places. And back in toward the middle. One of the challenges in yoga, especially over the past decade or so, was the idea that more benefit comes from going deeper. That actually caused a lot of problems. Too much mobility, believe it or not. So as we twist to the second side, it's not so important that you make a big movement. Let's nuance this. And as best you can, move from the place that doesn't tend to move. So I can feel there's a really specific section in my upper back, almost to my neck. And I don't tend to move from those segments. So the twist I'm doing now on the screen may be almost imperceptible, but it's coming from those segments. Then power of the mind, I'm breathing into those segments. And then back in toward the middle. Good. Then taking both feet out in front of you. With the out breath, reach your arms up. Then with the inhale, reach your fingertips out to your toes. Let the crown of your head follow along with. And then hands could rest on knees, shins, or maybe your feet. Three more breaths here. And then with the next exhale, roll up. And then lie back. So it could be on the floor or on a sofa, on the nearest Burka lounger or bed, or any other piece of furniture that starts with B. Whether floor, bed, Burka lounger, or other. If you feel comfortable doing so, close your eyes. Bodies can be interesting. If we tell the body to do something, it doesn't always comply. And it may seem semantical, but quite often inviting the body to do something, that something is more likely to occur. So for example, your forehead. Invite the muscles of your forehead to relax. Now tell your forehead to relax. A lot of people report that it feels different, inviting, telling. So now let's invite awareness to your belly muscles. Invite your belly muscles to relax. And explore that being really a sincere invitation. Let it be okay if your belly muscles don't relax. Let it be okay if your belly muscles do relax. It's like when you invite friends to dinner, maybe they already have plans. And they're free to accept or free to take you up on the invitation another time. So body, your old friend, your companion, invite your upper back to relax. And explore letting it be okay if your upper back muscles say, forget about it. Let it be okay if your upper back muscles say, sure, I'll relax. Now invite awareness a little bit higher up to the junction of upper back and neck. And invite the muscles at that junction to relax. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. And now invite awareness a bit higher up into your neck muscles. You could get out the gold embossed stationery, forward a formal invitation, or it could be less formal. Invite your neck muscles to relax if they care to. And explore letting it be okay if they respond, well, maybe another time. Let's take a few more breaths here, inviting relaxation. Very different than dictating relaxation. And then if you closed your eyes, open your eyes. And then as you feel ready, come on up to sitting. All right, half and half. We do this every week. It's complimentary. Tell your friends, relatives, colleagues, coworkers, neighbors. Any comments, any questions? Couple questions, all right.
Do you use your arms to torque a little bit while twisting? And should shoulder blades be wide or closed during the twist?
So there are some great questions coming in about the twists. So the two questions, first one is, when I turn, do I use my arms to torque? And the answer is a teeny tiny little bit, just a little bit. So I'm not trying to turn a whole lot. I'm trying to find that discernment in the mobilization. Rather than moving a lot from the places that are already mobile, can I move a little from the places that don't tend to move very much? And then in terms of the shoulders, I'm looking for win-win alignment. So chest open is really nice for your breathing, and keep your back open, really nice for your breathing. So rather than shoulders rounding way forward, overcorrecting and pulling them way back, and see if you can find that happy medium. All right. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for being with us. And let's do this again really soon. Let's say maybe next week. Bye-bye.